Hi, I'm Peter Charles, and welcome to my video on tying the P&O Variant. Now, the trout fishers amongst us will be quite familiar with the Partridge and Orange Yorkshire wet. It's a very famous Yorkshire wet, and a lot of us have caught a lot of trout on that fly. So when I first started steelhead fishing, I really didn't have much of a clue about steelhead flies, so I took my bigger trout flies, and that included some P&Os, and I did catch some steelhead on them. So a few years ago I decided that I was going to bring that fly back into my arsenal in a slightly larger size, and I just added a tail. And sure enough, it lived up to its previous billing, and it got some fish for me. So here it is. It's a pretty simple fly, and for those of you who know the P&O, it's very little change to it except for the addition of a tail. As you can see, there's not much to it. It's pretty well a Partridge and Orange except for the addition of this rather sparse fox tail. The rest of it's an orange floss body, a gold rib, we have the partridge hackle, and an orange head. You could use brown hen, you could use a grouse feather, anything you might have handy that's very soft and webby and flows well in slow flows. So if you don't have partridge, don't worry about it. Okay, let's get on to tying the fly. My hook is a Camasan B180 low water salmon single in a size 8. You could tie this on a size 6 or a size 10. Anything around that size is going to do the job. And if you don't have the Camasan hooks, any straight shank up eye hook will do the job as well. You could use a standard wet fly hook, if you know, like a Mustad 3906B. Anything of that nature is going to do the job. My thread is a Uni Fire Orange in an 8/0. And I'll start that just in front of the point. Now we're going to tie on a little tag. And I'm going to use Uni Mylar in number 14 in a gold silver. I want the gold side to show out, so I'll tie it in silver side up. Now I'm going to make a nice neat wrap here because I want that tag to lay over this thread rather neatly. That's enough. Just put that through in touching turns. Couple of wraps there to hold it. And then we'll trim that off the length of the return. Now I'm just going to wind this forward up to the return. Okay, now we put on our fox squirrel. Be quite sparse with this. Don't tie on a big clump. Get all the short stuff out over the garbage can. Get rid of the extra fibers. And then we're going to use our hair stacker. I'm just going to check that. It's still too much. Pull out a few more. That's better. We're going to tie it roughly the hook gap past the hook. Tie it on with a nice pull up. I'll keep that hair on top of the hook all the way back. And wind that down to the tag. Now we're going to trim this off. I just want to point out one thing here. Because we're putting on a thorax, we don't want the body to extend too far forward or we'd be crowding the eye. So you notice I've stopped this about the length of the return. The next step is to put in our rib, which is a Uni French smaller gold oval. Couple wraps to hold it, then we'll just put that in a material keeper. Next thing we're going to do is tie on our floss. In this case I'm using Uni Floss Orange. I'm just going to wrap that back neatly. just put in a couple of half hitches there to hold it. I'm just going to smooth out this floss and put it in touching turns. Now for our rib, make one turn around the tail. Notice my tail's moved a little bit there. And then we start wrapping it forward. Now we could make our body out of anything, orange dubbing, some SLF perhaps, anything of that nature, but I'm going to make it quick today. I'm going to use some uni yarn in fluorescent orange, but anything equivalent will do. We don't have to get fancy here. Now when you're winding this on, whatever you do, don't crowd the eye. You've got to get that partridge hackle in there, and we don't want it jammed up against the eye of the hook. Now onto our partridge feather. You can see I've already cleaned this one up in preparation. We're going to tie it in by the tip, and we're going to use both sides. Clip off the tip. A stray piece of floss in there too. We'll get rid of that. A couple of extra wraps. Some half hitches. Now we'll get our hackle pliers going. When I wrap this on, I'm going to fold it back. Yeah, I always manage to do that, stick the hook in my thumb. Partridge quills can be quite thick, so they don't always want to pop off. There we go, I'll just clean this up. And whip finish, and we're all set. Now after this we just need a little bit of head cement, and we're ready to go fishing. Oops, I managed to catch one of the fibers there. Push that back. There we go. get our toothbrush out here to stroke everything back. There we go, ready to go fishing, whether we're going after steelhead or resident trout or maybe even some bass for that matter. Don't be afraid to dead drift this for steelhead as well. I like it for swim fin where I dead drift it in the initial part of the drift and then at the end I swing it out at the bottom. Very good with a single hander at short ranges when you're working small runs. It's a flexible fly. You can use it in a number of different ways, whichever is your favorite way of fishing. So, tie one up, go out, enjoy.